to a new episode of the Orthodox Spirit. Today I have a special guest all the way from the Netherlands, Deacon Peter.
Thank you, Michael. It's a pleasure to be on this podcast, and I look forward to get to know you better and also, to the conversation.
Thank you. So I usually start by telling the guest just to give a little background on themselves. So if you can just maybe just start about how maybe you ended up in the Netherlands or, how you became a deacon.
I will keep it, I'll try to keep it short, and if you have any further deeper questions, feel free. So my father is a priest, and we came here to the Netherlands for him to take care of a parish church here 24 years ago. So I came here when I was around 4 or 5 years old, and since then been brought up in the Netherlands. You would say maybe that I always aspired to have a church position. However, that is not true. Yes, I went every week to church with my father, etc. But I was living like everyone else around me. Till God invited me to the service. Of course, there's much more happened there, but the invitation came from the inside and then also from the outside. And since then, almost 3 years ago, being a deacon. For those who don't know what the deacon is, it's a servant. Deacon means servant. So I'm a servant of the Lord Jesus through the Coptic Church, and most specifically the youth here in the Netherlands. So I go around the diocese to meet them, to pray with them, to talk with them. That's a bit, what I do.
Yeah, and you said it was only 3 years ago. So this is fairly recent for you, right? How has your life like changed since you became a deacon?
I didn't expect anything of what I was doing right now. The reason I took the invitation is because I felt peace. And what I mean by that is that if you feel the presence of God in your life, God is everything. So what you feel is like, I already have everything. So I don't, at that time, desire anything anymore. That's what led me to surrender to the will of God. So everything that comes after is totally fine by me. I don't expect anything. I don't want anything. I don't desire anything. I just let God, the church, lead me where it wants me to go, to serve, to be. So yes, I would say my life changed, but you would also say, of course, from the outside, not just what I wear, but also what I do and where I am. But actually, on the inside, for me, it's a constant thing. Wherever I am, with whoever I am, as long as I try to keep God with me, it's all the same to me. But it's a struggle also eventually, um, every day, to keep that. So yeah.
You say it's a struggle, because some people think like people in priesthood or that are deacons or that are in positions in church don't struggle like we all struggle, or that they don't deal with the same stuff we all deal with. Can you kind of touch on that and maybe like go into like how we're very relatable?
Yeah, so it's actually eventually all the struggle, everybody has his or her own form of struggle. God gives everyone his or her capabilities, and you are judged based on what you have. So I'm not going to say that ours or clergy or whatever is more, but it is not less. So you are first responsible for your own salvation, God will hold us all accountable for that. And then also, we will also be held accountable for the salvation of our flock, of our ministry. So, especially also if you look at the bishop, if people in the parish or in the diocese fall into sin because his lack of commitment and service, they won't be held accountable. He will be held accountable.
Yeah.
It's double. Of course, there's the grace of God. So even if we would do great job in leading the flock and serving the people, it is to the grace of God, and He uses weak people servants, like we all also see throughout the Bible, to use them to serve. So if we do a good job, which only God is good, uh, it is because of Him. And if we do wrong or fall short in our commitment, it's because of us. Yeah, just like the word itself says, we are servants, we are slaves to His will. And also, if we look at, because we may experience the work of God in the service and in the churches and the diocese, but it's like, oh no, that is my great service. No, we just we just look how God is working. We are just spectators of the
Right.
work of God. It's humbling.
Yeah, and I seen that you do a lot of stuff on social media. What got you into doing like reels on social media, trying to reach like the youth and stuff? What inspired that?
So actually, making videos itself, I already been doing like 10 or 12 years ago. Since I was 16, maybe, or 17, I was more into fitness kind of stuff and also liked to improve myself there to the point that I felt I had a little bit of knowledge. I wanted to share that with people because I felt some benefit for my own life. So I wanted to share people to help them make better, healthier choices. Then after that phase of my life, I went a little bit into entrepreneurship and made videos about that, vlogging my story and giving tips and advice. I also worked as a teacher at schools, teaching entrepreneurship and personal development. After a little bit of entrepreneurship, I went into more the psychology, philosophy stuff, personal development stuff, made videos also there. Was a time that I read a book every week and then made a 1 minute book summary out of it. So the idea of making videos was always there, also in short-term contact, also with the benefit for the viewer and listeners. So uh, it took it from there. When I started the service, this was not something I already did from the beginning. It was also not necessarily asked from me, but it just came to be first for with a video of wishing high school students good luck with their exams. Then I went with a group of the choose youth parish to abroad to go there. They made a video there, and then it came to be like a routine thing. And I saw some attraction, so I thought maybe there's more there to serve, to help, educate, and lead people to Christ. With especially, big themes, most common asked questions. I thought maybe we can tackle that in a short period of time. That will be of benefit because also in this time and age, there's no much of a concentration. I thought make it short, and also you don't have to do it for long for the sake of to make a long video. Yeah, why not? It was also easy, just set your phone, you click 1 minute in between service or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that's how
that's
it.
actually how I found you and how I started listening to your videos. And that's what got my attention because yeah, you answer a lot of questions that that people every day have. You touch a lot on like relationships. That's one of the first things I actually wanted to speak to you about. You talk
Yeah.
about prayer and relationships and the goal of relationships, like the goal of having a partner.
Yes.
Can you kind of go
Yes.
into that a little bit?
Yeah. So relationships, love, partner is something that always facis- uh, yeah keep me busy because also it can make or break someone. We can talk about theology all day long, and that is also, of course, important. However, people can have um, a distance or a barrier with God and their spiritual life because of a problem in a relationship or a great desire for someone. So I think by tackling that, not only you free help someone with their struggle because that's eventually the goal. Also, the purpose of theology is not to debate for the sake of debate, but eventually to lead people to salvation. However, what is in between them and salvation is most of the times a relationship, a struggle, a heartbreak, maybe. So I also like to talk about things people not necessarily want to hear for the views, but maybe need to hear because they struggle with it. And God, who is the source of love, who is the source of the basis of relationship, because the Holy Trinity is a relationship of love, He teaches us exactly this this theme. So yeah, we try to combine those two, the theology and what God teaches us, with everyday spiritual struggle for eventually the glory of His name and the salvation of people. Because I believe that relationship and marriage is one of the most beautiful things in the world. And again, it can therefore make you flourish, or can also really hold you back from the development of any other phase in your life. So I think it's very important to think right, because that is the problem here, is that there is a definition of love, there is a philosophy of how marriage should be lived. However, the devil uh, turns this a little bit around, gives us wrong ideas and thus us feelings about how it should be, for therefore it will hold us back from a healthy relationship or the right relationship. So by trying to explain the will of God and trying to explain what love really is, how marriage is supposed to be, um, I hope it can set us up for the right thoughts, eventually feelings and actions, and thus also result.
And I know in Orthodoxy we don't believe in divorce, but you we tend to find that argument and bickering in relationship is inevitable. It's going to happen. You're going to have disagreements. What's some advice for partners going through disagreements? What's some advice with if they're kind of going through something that they can't seem to tackle and it's just
Yeah.
constant arguing or they're trying to find a way out of it.
So what I would like to say is, first and foremost, is talk to your father of confession. Again, I will say something also here, but for personal direct advice, go to your father of confession. And that's maybe also a thing, and also you talked about it, divorce. My primary job, I'm not a priest, so I'm not really much in marriage counseling, in the sense that I sit with people in their marriage and they come to me with advice. I'm mostly in
Right.
the phase before that. But I had, yeah, two experiences or a couple of experiences with people going through marriage and wanting, for example, divorce. And how I look at that, and that's also the answer to how to go through struggle, is that in both cases, they wanted divorce because of struggle, right? Maybe by themselves, but mostly it was because of their partner. They are struggling with something. But I was so glad to have this experience, because when we look at divorce from outside, we say, oh, yeah, maybe it's reasonable. It is the right decision. It doesn't work. But I felt immediately in both cases that if you would divorce, it won't solve anything. It won't remove uh, two things. So, for example, if the partner is struggling with lust, or the partner is struggling with accountability or something, by us divorcing, it won't solve it. It will still be there. And then you could say, but what? It's my problem. Well, you are one. You are partly responsible for him. And that brings me to the second point, is that this is exactly what marriage is about: to carry the struggle of the other, to lead each other to salvation. Marriage is not about, oh, who is the right one, who will always care for me at the right time and will always make the right choice for me. If you go and step into marriage or relationship, even, you are choosing a broken person to carry as cross and bring them to heaven. Uh, Going about marriage like that, again, it will set you up for a whole different way of looking at the other. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, what I would say is that also, I believe that, and this is the core problem, and also where orthodoxy, the Orthodox spirit, gives the solution to, is most of the time that people want divorce is because, or how they go about it is that, all right, they have their marriage, maybe go to church, maybe once in a time go talk to the priest, but because they are struggling, they go to the priest, all right, I want to divorce. But before that, there was no any communication with the priest, no counseling, no whatsoever. Yeah, then as church, I won't say I can't help you. Of course, we are always unconditionally there to help you, and we won't judge you for any of your previous uh, struggles. But the thing is that our solution, or the solution, is to engage with the church from the beginning, which won't lead you to divorce and divorce. So if you just come to me, oh, I want to divorce, I can't help you. Also, when we reverse it, how people go about it is they get to learn someone, and then for 2 years, and then we'll go to the priest, all right, I just need your signature because we want to marry.
Right,
It's not like
right.
that. You can do it like that, but that's not how you have a successful marriage. Um, Actually, how you should do it, or what's the best way to do it, is when there's first a feeling of attraction towards someone. At that time, you go to the church, to the priest. All right, I have this feeling, but I don't know if this is lust from the devil, or this is pure love from God, and He will then talk with you to figure out if this feeling is correct, if how this boy approached you is correct. And then with all the steps, you involve the church, you talk to the priest, to the deacon, to ask for advice, and that will set you up for less problems. But if you take the church out of your marriage, you make yourself very vulnerable for the devil to come and to come be in in your midst. Um, that's also the ceremony of marriage, where we believe that two will become one through the Holy Spirit. That's not a one-time activity at the ceremony. Of course, it happens right there. But how do I experience the blessing of God through wisdom, through strength, power, etc. in my relationship, is by continuously involving the church in my day-to-day activities, thus also in marriage, which will protect me from outside or inside corruption. Uh, so you can't. Uh, I hope it's clear that, oh, you don't involve the church at all, then ask for divorce. Yeah, well, that's not how we work. Return to the church. Try to do it with the church, in the church, through the church, and I think a lot of problems will be solved by them by themselves. So that's also a thing Marriage is the playfield of the devil.
Yeah.
The devil likes marriage so much, where two people or more people, and especially very closely binded, there the devil works the hardest to separate them. The goal of God is unity. The goal of the devil is separation. So by also divorcing, you are giving into the devil. This is exactly what he wants. So he first works through the lust of the partner or the less of accountability, and then also as solution you use the negative to solve the negative. So there's a
Mm.
problem, and then you solve it with another problem.
Right, right.
Separation. Separation, I believe, is never the solution. Separation is never the solution. Also, for example, if you struggle in a marriage or in a relationship even, and then you you are very upset by this, so you will go to a different city, but the feeling of sadness is in you. If you go there, the sadness, the problem will go with you. So, and the problem for your relationship and marriage is not what that person has done, but it's my lack of forgiveness of that person, which holds me back from having peace and uh, happiness, but also which holds the other back from their salvation. So the solution is always through it to look at ourselves, um, to ask the church, how can I have the spirit to deny my will, to deny my feelings, in order to forgive them, to carry them, and to have patience with them.
Yeah,
So
that forgiveness part is definitely an
yeah,
interesting perspective that I don't really hear as much, you know, but because I remember hearing you talk about the purpose of a marriage is to lead each other to Christ.
that is what you are going up to. So also marriage, like I said also in one of the videos, is it's an invitation, and that's I think also one of the great struggles in marriage is that we go about it as, oh, who do I desire? Who do I want to go into? But if you just look at the simple definition of love is not about me and my desires, it's about the other and the sacrifice of myself and desires for uh, the other. So that whole standpoint and thought from the beginning is already wrong, which also lead
Yeah.
us to problems because we expect that I will be happy, that I will be served. However, this is not the case. If I go into marriage, I choose to lose myself uh, for for the other. So actually, you shouldn't want to get married. It's not like, oh, I want it. It's like if I can make a parable to priesthood. I like to the sacrament of marriage is pretty much the same as the sacrament of priesthood. So why do we say that you can't apply for yourself to become a priest? Because here's the thing. First of all, to become a priest is to serve the congregation. But here's the thing. You don't know what the congregation needs, struggles with. So I can force myself on them. Also, I don't know what I have to offer. God knows what they need, what they lack. He knows what you have to offer. So through the church, He invites you to serve them. And the same applies to marriage. You can't force yourself on some, oh, I want you, I want to. Also, it's not natural to want it. Um, uh, God knows what he or she is lacking, struggles with, and needs for a healthy relationship. He knows what you have to offer. So at his chosen time, while we do our daily responsibilities, uh, he will put the right person at the right time, at the right place in front of us, and yeah, saying not with real words, but through insight and outside circumstances. This is who I want you to serve, who I trust you with to serve. And then we take it humbly. We take it humbly. And we also even say, just like the priests say, I'm not worthy to become a priest and to serve them. I am too weak. I struggle with myself. The same applies for marriage. Who am I
Right.
to say, oh, I want you and I'm mad at you that you are not with me or don't want to be with me? I am weak. I can't hold my own self with my own sins. How will be, especially as a man, responsible for also your and the children's struggles?
Right.
So I think that's a whole different perspective how we should try to uh, to look at it.
You mentioned like things like lust and I want to just kind of dive into just bad habits in general. There's things where we kind of fall into constantly, whether it's people fall into addiction, people fall into lust, people fall into all types of different things. And sometimes it takes quite a while for you to completely remove that out of your life. What are some good steps to, one, not fall into that despair that usually happens when we continuously fall into the same sin? And two is like, what's a good way to continue to get back up and move towards the right direction?
So also here it's a more of a thought problem. What I mean by that is the following: is that the reason we struggle with addiction or lust is because of the thought, and this thought we would see is the devil lying to us that, oh, I should have that thing or that activity or that person even to be fulfilled. Uh, but again, that's a lie. So, for example, for cigarettes, oh, I need it. I need it, otherwise I will feel empty. Otherwise, I will be unhappy. But here's the thing: it's a lie. When I take it, when I use it, I will become even more empty, more frustrated, more reliable. So, understanding that it's a lie, I think it starts there because this is the truth. The truth is, if you struggle, for example, with addiction, with lust, the struggle is emptiness, right? And that emptiness, it's a given. It's everybody has. It's a desire. It's a desire to feel something which, yeah, it's not there. And again, the devil tells us that it happens through this addiction, through this substance, through this relationship. It then will go away. But like I said, it won't go away. The emptiness will become even more because it's the purpose
Right,
of the devil
right,
to break us apart. The problem is not even the fact that you're empty, because we all have that, and we need a solution. That's why also the solution is not, especially for example with addiction, is that, oh, I just have to work to stop it, stop the uh, uh, addiction, stop whatever I'm doing, because if I would stop, there's still emptiness. So I will eventually go back into it. So it's not the problem of discipline necessarily, or whatever.
right,
Uh, the solution is to fill ourselves so we don't desire that what we wanted in the first place. And here's the thing: the desire and the emptiness we feel is something spiritual. But oftentimes, the solutions we seek are physical. So, for example, I'm feeling empty, but the feeling or feelings themselves is something spiritual. But what we do, we search for something physical, material, for example, cigarettes, alcohol, or even loneliness is also a feeling. It's something from the spirit. But what we seek is persons, physical
right.
beings to be around us. But we can have physical persons of beings around us, but still feel empty. Because again, the desire, the feeling itself is spiritual. Therefore, we have to look to something spiritual to fill the spiritual void. So it is that way of thinking. So, for example, what I would say to someone struggling with lust, with sin, with cigarettes, for example, it's not even about the cigarettes. The focus is not to stop the cigarettes. The focus is to fill ourselves with the love, the peace, the Spirit of God, which will result to two things. First, that I am filled with His presence, with His love, that I don't desire it in the first place anymore. And secondly, if I have the Spirit of God and if I am challenged, the Spirit of God works through me to stop it, to hold it. Because, or it is the Orthodox Spirit that will move our heart, feelings, body, or it's the spirit of the devil. Because why can't I stop it? Is because I'm being lived. I can't. I just grab it. I just take it. There's no control. Again, the problem is not necessarily discipline and control. The problem is because from ourselves we are too weak to control. We should strive for the presence of God, which happens, I believe, mostly through or yeah, Orthodox Church, because the Orthodox Church has the sacraments. Sacraments are the channels to receive the Holy Spirit, which will can work through us to first fill us with His presence, and secondly, to resist the temptation. So again, it's not about stopping lust, stopping the sin and addiction. It's about growing into Christ more, to spiritual actions. Praying is spiritual. Fasting is spiritual. Fasting is not a physical exercise. Fasting is a spiritual nutrition, a confession. Those are all ways to fill our spirit with the presence of God, which can work through us to stop the desire, and secondly, fill us, and secondly, uh, give us power to 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 reject it. We try to struggle with ourselves, you won't win. You won't win with the devil. But if I seek God, He can give me the power to resist the devil, the temptation, the addiction.
Yeah, I think sometimes too, we do it so much that it becomes like a comfort thing, and it becomes something that just, yeah, is to co something to cope with, or yeah, it just becomes very, very comfortable. It's like, this is how I'm feeling, so I do this to not feel this, and it becomes like a coping mechanism, and it's really hard to remove yourself from that attachment. And that's why when people say, well, go to church, take communion, how important is going to church, taking communion, and making sure like you're following the sacraments when it comes to this trying to detach from your old habits.
And that's also what I would say is that we often take on the challenge or struggle at the moment there is a problem. So there's addiction or challenge, but actually, the struggle is already before. What I mean by that is that um, if we beforehand take on the struggle voluntarily, we won't have the problems at the moment actually. So here's the thing: it is not like, oh, I struggle with lust. How do I deal with lust? It's actually, no, from the beginning, I already take on voluntarily the challenge to pray and fast. Try to pray and fast in my own room, which will fill me, which will then not lead me even to the problem. For example, if we go back to relationships, people say, "Oh, I struggle so much with the heartbreak or the hurt somebody did to me. Here's the thing. The problem is not, oh, how can I forgive necessarily? Or what did that person do wrong to me? Or how can I work on myself? It is the real Orthodox answer is that if we would, from the beginning, try to work and have a relationship with God, we would be already so much fulfilled with His love that we wouldn't be disappointed and hurt in the first place if somebody did something to us. So the
Right.
problem is not what he or she did to me. If I already was filled with the love of God, it wouldn't do so much to me because I'm already being loved and validated and valued. So the fact that he or she says or does something to me, it doesn't come to me. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't hurt me because I am already uh, filled with love. And here's also the thing: if we would, from the first place, sorry if I can go back to a relationship, filled with the love of God, we wouldn't be attracted to a boy or a girl with just some good words or good looks, which they were in the relationship with the first hand with the wrong intentions. We didn't see and feel the wrong intentions because we were empty and we were just attracted to nice clothing, a nice view, nice words. But that person didn't have any good intentions with us and doesn't have the spiritual capabilities maybe yet to carry for us. That we make ourselves vulnerable and liable for someone to hurt us. But the problem is not them, the problem is us. We let them in. And the reason we let them in is because we are empty. So we just are a little bit, we are attracted with a little bit of attention, a little bit of uh, good looks or whatsoever. Yeah, of course, at the time, right, we can learn and we can try to forgive, work on ourselves. But the problem is never for them to change, for them to say sorry. I let them in. I accept that they come close to me. It's not there. It's not there. Of course, everybody should help be accountable. And I'm not saying that everybody should do anything because it's always your fault.
Right,
But I'm
right.
saying the focus on how to solve it and to go about it is to look at myself. Why was I so empty to be attracted to this? And not, oh, how could he or she leave me or do this to me?
Yeah.
So the Orthodox
No.
spirit, I just like the word and I try to use it. The Orthodox spirit is always inwardly directed. The Spirit of God, if we grow in the Spirit of God, which through the Orthodox Church, what we see to happen, and also if I can maybe talk a bit on the Great Lent
Sure,
that
sure.
is coming up. What we see happening in Great Lent is that maybe you go into the Great Lent, maybe you all do with a struggle, maybe addiction, maybe a sadness over a relationship. And what we see happening at the end of Great Lent is that it doesn't bother us that much anymore what he or she did. And while at the beginning we longed so much for a apology, we already forgave them whatsoever. While in that whole period of Great Lent, nothing changed really in the sense that he or she changed or said sorry. What did change? I changed. How did I change? It is because through the Great Lent, I was trying to pray, trying to fast, to serve more, go to church more, that the Spirit of God dwelt in me, which filled me with love, and the consequence of love is automatically to forgive. So uh, the problem vanished. It's not there anymore because I
Right.
don't feel it, experience it as a problem anymore because the weight is already off my heart because the Spirit of God dwelt in me. And what happens is that yeah, the more the Spirit of God dwells in you, the more you see your own struggles and sins. So, what the Orthodox Spirit does and how it solves our problems, if you look at the Great Lent and how it's organized, every week has a different theme. So, the first week or the second week, it's Temptation Sunday, where we maybe struggle with a certain sin or temptation. The week after that is the lost son, prodigal son, where we go away for maybe a period of time because of our sin and then return. Week four is the cemeterian woman, which struggle with one specific sin very much. Week five is the man who is for 38 years lame and can't move. So it's a type of sin which a very long time holds us back 38 years. The week after that is that person is even from their beginning in sin or born blind. If you mention is that every week it becomes the sin a little bit worse. What does the church try to tell us? That if we grow in spirit, if we grow through prayer, to fasting, and try to get closer to God, or if you would say, the Spirit of God grows much more in us because we are doing spiritual actions. The work of the Spirit of God, of the Orthodox Spirit, is that it turns our viewpoint more inside. That if we grow to closer to God or God closer to us, it reveals to us more of our struggles. So first we would say, oh, I just have a little bit of a problem. But growing spiritually, I mentioned week by week that no, I have a very big struggle. I am the problem. My ego is too big actually. So that's, I think, yeah, how our church is beautifully uh, organized to take us on a journey to the end goal is resurrection, but before resurrection, there's crucifixion, and before that, it is the revelation of our own faults and sins.
Yeah.
And then the greater our acknowledgement of our own faults and sin, the greater also the resurrection.
Yeah, and you mentioned like our own sins. Like I tend to see this, and it's something I'm kind of torn about, where you see people sometimes they sin because of their circumstance. Like somebody that may steal food to feed his hungry family, or situations like that. I don't really know how to feel about that. And I just wanted to get your input on that type of situation.
Thank you, because also this clarifies the scenario which you drawn to us. Uh, uh, Teaches us very much where does sin come from and how to go about it. So I will use another analogy for hopefully the same point. So, for example, in our studies, people would say, um, "All right, this is my last exam. I have to get a great score to pass." So they will justify themselves, or again, it's the life devil, to cheat. So of course I have to cheat. How could I not cheat? Because it's just 2 points, and then I will go into the next year or the next phase of my life. Of course I will do that. The problem here is not the cheating. The problem here is that why did I let it happen to get at this point that I'm desperate to cheat? The problem is not the cheating. The problem is that I haven't taken responsibility already a year ago or maybe more in my free time to start at the right uh, time to not get so far to cheat. So, and here's the thing, like you say, so um, the devil first uses uh, your lust and your laziness to not be productive. That's also a sin on themselves, to be lazy or not to be productive. And then, because of the problems that happened to sin, he justifies to you to use even maybe sometimes more or greater sin to solve the other sin. Never works.
Right.
So also the same at your example. Again, I'm not talking about the homeless people that, let's say you are homeless because your lack of yeah, self-control or something, or it's clearly your fault. I'm not talking about people that couldn't do something about it. There you see the same thing. So sin is never the solution to another sin.
Mm.
Thus also divorce is not the solution to another problem, because you have lied and made yourself in big problems, and the other now is also maybe doing some faults because your fault in the first place. You cannot blame it on them.
Right.
Again, the devil is so smart to convince us that I have to sin to solve the problems of a previous sin. And it sounds so logical at the time.
Yeah. What about people
The
that
problem.
were
So
like necessarily like born into that circumstance, like people that weren't in control of their circumstance, like people that were born into poverty or people that were born into, yeah, like a situation where, you know, they had no control over. Maybe it was their parents' fault or their grandparents' faults or, you know, things like that. How do they necessarily deal with that?
so also thank you for this scenario, because it's a very hard question, of course. But I'm again so, yeah, or we are so blessed with our church and with our God, because He gives us the answer to it. And that is the following: is that yes, that is unjust. You didn't deserve it. It's not your fault. Um, but the good news is that Christ resurrected. What I mean by that is that it is a problem, and it would be a problem, and it would be real injustice if this life is it. If we have to make it in this life, that would be a problem. For example, if you are born with a handicap or
Right, right,
disability, or are not so fortunate physically or financially. If this life is it, you already lost, right? But here's the thing: this life is not it. There's still a life after this. And that is where we have the hope. Again, I can't say anything to say, all right, do this, and then your injustice or your struggles will go away and all will be fine. What I can say is that 2000 years ago, I saw a man dead and then alive with a resurrected, glorified body, which tells me that this life is not the end, and whatever struggles you have, and even death, which we are the most afraid of, is not the end. And that if there is life after this life, and there is, we have evidence for that, that life is perfect, without disabilities, without scaredness, without injustice, without death, without pain, without war, without conflict. And that's our hope. Like we say, we look for the resurrection. That is also, as Christians, what we live. We acknowledge that there is injustice, and that it's not how it's supposed to be. Therefore, as Christians, we don't judge based on our circumstance in this life, but our fair and loving God, that first of all, uh, He is loving in the fact that He took the blame on Himself while He is not uh, accountable for it, but He took it out of love. But most importantly, He's a fair God, that everything that we get unfairly in this life, He will compensate for it uh, equally in the life hereafter. And I think that's the only answer to this. Families being brought up in unfavorable circumstances, we look up to God and remember the resurrection of the dead. We remember the life after that. Hey, if I've lost in this life, I will gain even more glory in the life hereafter. If this life is it, I don't have an answer. There is no hope for you. But
Mm.
I know that God exists, that He revealed Himself, that He took freely the struggle on Him, uh, and also turned that struggle into glory. And that is what we wait for. That is what we long for. And here's the thing: it's not the Christian life is just living freely from struggles. No, the Christian's life is no, I take struggle voluntarily. And the struggle, that is grace, that is the blessing. So if we are unjustly persecuted, for example, that is grace, that's a blessing, that's what we long for. That's what we say, oh, I don't desire this favor in God's eyes and this grace to go through this. It's not orthodox to say, oh, look at this injustice. Why is there injustice? And where's God? And I can, of course, people can feel like that. But we take this blame like Christ did voluntarily and with love, and we carry it as our cross for the sake of the love and salvation of others. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's an unjustful word, but God is more just, and the life hereafter, we won't have to struggle with it.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me to my last couple questions. Like, one is like how do we become okay with being okay with the struggle, and to find some sort of peace in a world that's not a peaceful world, you know? Those are the two things that I kind of really wanted your input on, and yeah, we kind of led back to the questions I really wanted to end with. And it's really hard because sometimes you look out and it's not a peaceful world at times, and maybe it's a sense of perspective. But I did want your input on, yeah, being okay with the struggle and being accepting of it and trying to find peace in an unpeaceful world.
And that peace and unpeaceful world, and the question you frame is actually a illogical question. Not because
Hmm.
of you, but if we think about it, is because an unpeaceful world, that's something from outside, and peace
Right.
is something from within. It's a feeling. So actually, we link those two together, but actually, there is this is not the cause of this, and that's also the work of the devil. So he divides us into the world, and then let that division and hatred have also effect in division within myself.
I see what you
So
mean.
he wins double. But here's the thing. So I know someone, Orthodox, again, believer, unbeliever, Protestant, Catholic, Orthodox, we all live in the same uh, fallen world, right? But there's one who has total peace, and the other really struggles with the situation and the worry and the problems and the peace. What's the difference? The outside circumstances and word is the same. Here's the difference, and again, the Orthodox spirit is the answer to it, which is that if we live, or actually not if we live with God, if God lives in us, the work of the spirit is calmness, is trust. Yes, I see the injustice, but I trust that God is bigger. For the one without the spirit, really takes it personal and really feels afraid, in danger, discriminated because of the situation. That person, the difference is again the spirit. So it's work inside. So the solution is not, oh, when will this war end, or when will this world leader go away, then all my problems will go away. That's a lie. Because the problem and the problems of this world are not in the Middle East, are not in the world leader, are in us. If you want to get rid of the problems of the conflict in this world, we have to get rid of ourselves, because it's in the nature of humanity. believe me, don't believe that if there's a new world order, or if there is a new world leader, or in 50 years, the problems will go away. Again, the problem is in the seed of man. It's in the seed of man, it's in the nature. So the next world leader will also have and be a problem for you and for us. Again, the problem is not outside, the problem is inside. And that's why we are Christians. We are not Christians to do some activities or prayer or go to church, talk to a priest. That's not what makes us Christians. What Christianity really is about is the change of nature. It's to be less of myself and to grow in the Spirit of God will change me with from the inside out. And that is the key difference. And that's why the Orthodox is the truth. Because if we mention that the physical body is corrupted, not because it's physical, but it is corrupted, therefore we need to change the nature. That's why we need real communion, real the flesh and the blood of Christ, because that nature is not corrupted. That nature is perfect, and that's what we as Christians work for. Is again not to do some disciplinary work to fast and pray, but really to change the nature, because from ourselves we can't do it, we can't have it. Again, going back to relationship, where I said that uh, having the wrong relationship, the wrong partner, it's not because of them, it's because we are empty, and being empty draws us to wrong circumstances. And that's the same spirit or the lack of spirit, which will also lead to when there is problem outside that I feel really affected by it. It really comes in my heart. But if I have the spirit of God, I'm more resilience for it. It doesn't come to me the appreciation or the lack of appreciation of the people around me or the world around me doesn't affect me because I am already loved. I am already appreciated. So a bad word of someone won't hurt me, but also a good word of someone won't make me feel better. How would you go about it? If we struggle with it, we have to grow into Christ. We have to grow in our relationship with God. Really, you can live in a world filled with fire around you, but if you have peace in yourself, it doesn't come to you. The solution is never for the political circumstances, world leaders, your partner, your job, the economy to change for you to be happy. If that changes, you still won't be happy because happiness is a feeling, and feelings come from the spirit, and spirit lives inside. So all lies. We are all uh, uh, manipulated by the devil that, oh, if he changes, I will be happy. If I get this job, I will be happy. If I just do this, the problems will go away. If he goes away, everything will be solved. Those are lies. Every feeling we have, behind it is a thought, and that thought is mostly a lie. We just assume feelings, but behind feelings there are thoughts which are lies. Oh, we assume, oh, because I'm angry, but wait, why do I feel angry? Because I think that he should have said sorry, but that's a lie. So if I can change the lie to, no, I should forgive, then the feeling of angerness goes away.
Right,
So
right.
we assume feelings, we assume that those feelings is our identity, and thus I have to act on it. Well, it is the devil trying to divide us from inside and from outside. Uh, Also, in that problem which happened in the Middle East and maybe still is, or any worldly problems, it's the devil that divided them. And he's now taking those problems, those war conflicts, into our society to divide us. So I'm not giving in to that, to choose a side and to say he is good or he is wrong, because that's exactly what the devil wants, to choose sides. But because by choosing sides, we are dividing ourselves. We are implying two, while God have united us as one, and in relationship and in myself, in everything, I have to justify the other. I have to sacrifice myself. So to be one, that's the only way to be restored externally and internally. And and the problem again is always inside. But if we are willing to accept that, to repent from that, and confess for that, God is gracious to fill our spirit with love, with peace, with trust of the future. So
Yeah. No, that
God
was
is good.
beautifully said. Yeah, I really like your perspective on things, and honestly, this has been a very edifying interview. I've enjoyed it. I would love to do a part two with you sometime soon. You know, if we can,
God willing.
make the time, yeah, that would be amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Deacon Peter. I really, really appreciated this conversation.
Thank you for your opportunity. Thank you for your service and the work you do online, but also offline. I think if we feel a very injustice towards the world, towards our life, the best way to solve it is to navigate the same energy and passion and feelings for injustice, navigate it to people who need it and people who struggle with it. Because again, that worry, those feelings are is energy. It's energy. You can direct it in thoughts, in messaging, in whatever. But if we direct it in prayer, if we direct it in service, that same energy which the devil tries to work in us, and from good intentions, we can navigate it to really be fruitful and productive. So if we are unhappy with our circumstances, with how people treat us, use that to treat people even better. And I think that is some things you also try to do, which I admire. I can also pray for and learn from. So thank you also for your work and facilitating this. And if God wills it, I hopefully maybe we can do a part two or meet each other physically, which also will
Yeah,
be
that would be amazing. Yeah, just
amazing.
pray for me and God willing, maybe we can make it happen. Thank you
God
so
willing.
much for
Thank you
your
so much,
time.
Michael.